when last we left our intrepid adventurers, they'd been arrested by an old construct from the Ood days.
Mall cops.
Yeah, mall cops. Robot mall cops. Because someone had been breaking into all these places and eating all the food in them.
Someone had stolen food from Salty Fatty Tasty, and it was their job to incarcerate. It's not their job to figure out if they're really guilty. It's their job to incarcerate them and take them to the people who can figure out if they're really guilty, who are long dead.
Yeah. So we defeated them by running away with the battery. And so they shut down, and we disentangled ourselves from the manacles. And then Cricket carefully disabled the mechanisms of the automatons without destroying them, because Croesus was very, oh, those poor things, don't hurt them, don't hurt them.
They're just doing their job.
Yeah.
That was his refrain. Don't destroy them, they're just doing their job.
Yeah, so Cricket rolled really well on all the Arcana checks, except for one of the little crappy guys. She kind of wrecked that one.
Yeah, just all this magical smoke just comes out of them.
That one not so good. The other ones did a fantastic job on. They're in perfect shape for you just have to turn them back on.
Yeah.
We're never going back down there again, so whatever. So anyway, after we were done that, we started exploring further, and we came to...
Oh, actually, one thing I hadn't mentioned last time is how the floor was littered with these big insect carapaces that are long dead, and they were just crunching underfoot. Which
we found out quite promptly. We went to the next room.
What that was.
Yeah, and the lights came on, and we discovered that the lighting in the ceiling was powered by the Cortex, and so we started ripping the lights out of the ceiling and taking them with us. So
I guess they have an infinite light source now.
Yeah,
with just ceiling lighting.
Ceiling lighting and the Cortex power source together.
Everyone can just carry one.
Yes, this ancient artifact of the Ood civilization is a lantern substitute. It's fantastic. So we go into this room, and the lights come on in this room, and the ceiling is all covered in these gooey pods and stuff.
Yeah, spheres about this big, and they're just glistening on the roof. The roof is quite high, probably about as high as this roof. I don't know if I mentioned that, but the roof had been quite low, and then opened to this big expanse. I can't see the end of it.
All these little pods on the ceiling, hundreds of them. And the ones near the lights that just came on start pulsating and stuff. So we're like, okay, we're going back the other way. So we back out of there, we hurry along.
And as they're rounding the corner, they hear on the ground.
So we hurry along, and we come across these doors. Well, we had previously passed these doors, and we didn't go in them. But they were doors to a hotel.
Yeah, there's a sign, the High Regent Hotel. There are glass doors behind it. It's just in the hallway, but the hallway continued after the doors with red carpet and gold fixtures and just really well appointed.
Yeah. So we went through the glass doors and then sealed them behind us, so that whatever it is that's...
Yeah. Well, basically, as long as the Cortex is not within 5 meters of it, they don't open.
Yeah.
I mean, you could...
Yeah. So we're protected by glass doors. We're totally safe. So...
Indeed.
So we get to the end of this hall, and there's these metal double sliding doors. It's an elevator. We try activating the elevator, summon the thing or whatever. And although the mechanism is working, nothing comes. And it turns out it's because the elevator is at the top of the shaft, which is about out of range of the Cortex.
Well, it's worth noting that none of the characters know anything about
we don't know what elevator is. I mean, we could tell out of character knowledge what was going on. but in character we're like, I do the thing that's supposed to open the doors, and we wait a bit, nothing happens. Try it again, nothing happens.
And while they're waiting, these insect creatures come up to the glass doors, these big insects, and they start tapping on the doors, and eventually they wander off.
Yeah.
So
we choose the Hank method of getting through the door. He just pries open the elevator doors, and we're at the bottom of an elevator shaft.
A three-story shaft.
Tall shaft.
And it's like a square shaft, but with little divots out of each corner.
Yeah.
And I think it was about 2 meters by 2 meters, so it's just enough that you could do the hands and feet.
Now
try to climb up it, but it's tough.
None of us are any good at climbing, and the Warforged took all of our climbing gear away so that we wouldn't try the stupid thing of climbing out of back the way we came. This is probably for the best because we would have fallen and died. But now we need to climb this 3-story tall shaft, and none of us are
no ladders.
No ladders, nothing. We're not any good at climbing. So one by one we start trying to climb up this shaft. And we're flubbing rolls and
we spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time climbing that shaft.
Most of the session was climbing this 3-story tall shaft. Really, there's doors halfway up, and Hank forces those open as a sort of a
I think he forced the top ones open first.
Yeah, we did the top ones first. We went to the top first and forced those open.
Yeah, because once he got to the top, in the 4 little grooves, because Hank was the first to climb, and he only fell once. And he got to the top, and in the 4 little grooves were 4 little thingies. I don't know what to describe them as. Little
devices.
Little devices that fit perfectly in those grooves, and they were held in place there. So he was able to stand on those and open the doors with relative ease. Whereas he couldn't do that at the middle one because you'd have to do it while you're trying to climb, which is quite challenging. And he got those open.
And at the top there was a short hallway that had a whole bunch of elevator doors down it. Basically, it's a lobby. And so he just sort of waited up at the top. I think Aurora made it up next.
Yes, I think so.
It was Aurora and Hank were at the top. And then Aderon... Did Aderon force the second floor doors?
Aderon was the one who can't climb at all. I think didn't Aderon fall 1,000 times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cricket kept catching people. She stayed down at the bottom. Yeah. She was going to be the last one up. She was like, I'll be the last one up. And the reason she wanted to be the last one up was so that she could keep catching people as they fell. I went through 2 healing surges. Stopping people from taking damage. It's like, I'll catch you. I'm okay.
She kept making acrobatics checks, and I said, okay, you can take the higher of hers or yours, and either way, she's going to throw herself under you, so she takes the damage.
Yeah.
So a lot of people landed on Cricket, especially Aderon. Yeah. Hank landed on Cricket, Aderon landed on Cricket quite a bit.
Yeah.
But eventually at the top, they saw on one end of the hallway was like a big restaurant, and had a bunch of tablecloths, and they're old and rotting, but they found enough of them that they tied them together to make a rope, but I said, it's not going to hold very well.
Yeah.
It had a chance of breaking every time you...
Yeah, every time they flipped, I'd roll a dice, and I'd be like, oh, it holds, but you hear it ripping. And then eventually at one point it did break because I was just rolling a dice. But it provided a safety.
So Aderon's really not very good at climbing. So when Aderon gets up to the second floor, he forces the door open to act. It's just I'm going to take a break here.
So I'm pretty sure Hank must have already forced it because I remember it was really, really hard to force it. So Hank had climbed down and forced that door. And the first time he tried it, because it was so hard, he's like, and falls face down into the shaft.
So he had made it to the top, but he came back partway down to open the door and fell to the bottom again and had to climb back up. Yeah.
And then he forced that door, and then I think he climbed back up to the top. Yeah. And Aderon climbed up to the middle one. And I'm pretty sure Aderon climbed to the middle one, then tried to climb to the top, failed, and fell anyway. And it just was a huge gong show.
Carnival of catastrophes.
There was no combat in the session.
Well, there was combat with a shaft. It was like a big elevator shaft of death.
There was some combat later, but we'll get to that. So Aderon's on the second floor, and I think at this point, did Croesus go up?
Everyone was up on the third, And then Cricket climbed up to the second with
Right.
Adiron.
So Cricket and Adiron are on second, and everyone else is up on third. And we noticed when Cricket went up to second floor that when the cortex got up near those little devices that were stuck in the sides, a force field appeared across the shaft. So these Ood designed their elevators so that if the power fails, the floor disappears.
But the power will never fail. The power hasn't failed in 400 years. It's never going to fail. It's cooler that way.
Yeah. So anyway.
I knew that's what it was going to be.
Yeah. So we're going to have trouble getting the cortex up there because every time we bring the cortex up, the force field appears.
Yeah.
So, but fortunately, Croesus has an ability that lets him teleport. So he's going to get the cortex past the force field. But before that happens, Cricket and Adiron are on the second floor. And it's just a small
Did the
little...
button presses register at that point? Like...
They didn't try that.
We could have done
That would have totally worked, actually.
Bring it down. But
I didn't even think of that, but yes, that would have worked.
We had other things
They
on our mind.
didn't know it was an elevator, right? Like they were
In character, they had no
in
idea.
character. There's just like it's a shaft. There's some weird thing at the top that makes the force field. Like it doesn't. It's magic.
Their stairs suck. Anyway.
Yeah, you guys didn't try and find stairs.
So, well, there weren't any around. I guess that's a fire code violation.
Yeah.
There should be some stairs around.
It makes sense that there weren't stairs right there, but there were stairs somewhere. But it would have been. It wasn't down that hallway.
So anyway, so we're on the second floor. There's this little room, and there's a door. I don't think there was a hallway or anything.
There was like it was partially collapsed.
Yes, that's right.
There were doors that came out. There was a door on the left. The right was mostly collapsed with rubble.
Yeah.
There was a thing in front. The door was blocked, but the food's there.
Canadian burger.
Regular background.
The door to it was blocked, but there was a glass wall, and there was a sign above it that said "Beautiful Tentacle," and there was all these weird devices inside. They're like, I don't know, it looks like some kind of torture chamber or something. It's like all these weird chairs with weird devices and stuff.
I don't know. We
horrifying.
figured it's got all these things that look like torture devices. It's called Beautiful Tentacle. We're not going in there.
Mine's already in the gutter.
Exactly.
That's the
But there was this other door, and it was locked. And so Adiron had Cricket try and pick the lock. Unfortunately, she failed terribly. Because right afterwards, Adiron was able to hear some sort of whispering and muttering on the other side about, what was it? Hotel guests haven't checked out, they're overdue.
Yeah, once, because it was in Ood. So
Yeah.
once, it was just something saying like, your checkout is overdue. Your checkout is overdue.
Yeah.
And then they're like talking and deciding what to do, and all of a sudden it's like, there are fees when your checkout is overdue, and the door starts rattling.
Yeah, we're like, we probably don't have enough money to cover fees. It's been 10,000 years. We don't have enough money to cover that. Let's get out of here. So Adiron goes out the second floor and climbs up to the third and slips and falls right at the top. And Cricket is standing on the second floor. And so Cricket uses Guardian's Counter to leap out sideways, catch Adiron as he's falling, and fall and act as a cushion. Crunch.
There's something particularly soft and cushiony about it. Like, why does Cricket keep doing this?
Into the server.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless she's told otherwise, she'll try and take damage for the party.
She considers herself the party's servant, and like it's very important to her to.
Okay.
Be a good servant.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
So we ended up working out, I think it worked out that if Cricket hadn't done that, Adiron would have taken 7 points of damage, but thanks to Cricket's efforts...
Actually, I think it was a net gain for the party, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Adiron would have taken 7, but Cricket took 5 instead. So it worked out. So anyway, So yeah, now there's.
That was when Aurora came up with the idea of braiding the tablecloth, and I just was like, okay, well, each braid has a chance of breaking, and that definitely increases their success chance. So I think Aderon failed a lot. One of the 3 strands of the braid broke, but eventually Aderon got to the top.
So we got big bug things on the ground floor.
Oh yeah, the bug things had started smashing the wall.
Yeah.
Because when she started making noise.
Yeah.
Because before it was like they were just like following your scent or whatever, or their scent or whatever. But then once they started making noise, they started smashing down the door. But,
sorry.
Oh. Yeah. So the bugs were starting to get in.
But they couldn't get through the metal elevator style doors because they'd shut them and they can't really open them.
Those were really hard to open.
So they were basically safe from them.
But there's still that vengeful ghost that wants its late fees on the second floor.
On the second floor, which is the lobby floor.
No, it's one below the lobby floor. I don't know
The
what
top floor was the lobby floor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did it only appear when they had the cortex nearby?
No, the cortex. Oh, the cortex was nearby at that time, but
Yeah, I don't think the ghosts are powered by the cortex.
Ghosts, yeah.
so
It's not a ghost.
The ghosts have a better power system than the elevators do. So anyway, we get to the lobby and we close the metal doors behind us. And so,
I think at this point they checked out all the doors in the lobby, right?
yeah, we did the summon elevator thing on all the elevator doors.
Right, and two of them. That's right.
Yeah.
2 of them opened and had like basically topless force field cubes and powered by those thingies. Oh, that reminds me. I don't know if we mentioned about, I guess, how Croesus teleported through the force field cube.
I mentioned that we were going to, but ultimately that's what we did. So we got the cortex up. So we discovered a couple of the shafts had elevators in them. And they're like these force field elevator things. And so we're like, okay, we won't just jump in them and go. We'll see what else is on this floor.
Well, actually, I think. I guess we can mention it after. You did pick. It's also worth noting maybe that you don't know how to. You know there are 20 choices that you can make, but no one speaks Ood. You're pretty confident it's basically the numbers 1 through 20 in Ood, but no one knows what that is.
Yeah.
So.
Cricket's comprehend languages allows you to comprehend languages, not to speak them. It's very, very peculiar, but that's how magic works. So we started exploring a little further, and we found beyond these elevators there was this big open room that was sort of like the lobby where there's like check-in counters and stuff like that. And some more of these ghost things start showing up.
Yeah, there's piles of dust.
The dust starts swirling up. And they start going on about, checkouts and stuff like that. And we're like, oh, holy crap. And
they start chasing them, at which point they're like, let's get into one of these elevator things.
The whole party crams into one of the elevators. And we're like, closed door.
But of course, there's no closed door.
But still, when we're in the elevator, the doors do shut. And there's a
ghosts.
There's a ghost on the outside of the door slamming to get in.
You're overdue. The checkout time is 11.
Yep.
There are fees when they're overdue.
And so we're going through every language we know, saying every number we know. Cricket tries Old Eve, which she knows from her classics studies.
And when they say something in Old Eve, suddenly like one of the ghosts outside is Riff Raff in the hotel, and just starts going berserk and ramming on the walls and smashing the door.
Apparently the Ood didn't think highly of the Empire of Flowers back in the day.
Yeah, that really set them off. And while they're trying
That kind of annoyed Cricket too.
And then they were discussing for a while, and eventually, they hear something a couple stories up, slamming on a door up there.
Yeah.
Saying
other ghosts on other levels are also getting angry.
Time to clean the elevators. And then later like way up there, something slamming on some doors. Everyone is freaking out at this point because they're trapped in this little box. There's ghosts coming from everywhere.
So finally, Croesus tries Panoblin. And he says 20 in Panoblin. And the elevator starts going up. But then Crickets overhears one of the ghosts shout to the other ghosts, "They're going to floor 20." So as soon as we're out of earshot of the ghosts, Croesus says 19. And so the elevator stops at 19.
And they can hear up on floor 20 like several ghosts all saying, "Clean the elevator. We have to clean the elevator."
They're laying in wait for us. But we have fooled them. We've gone to floor 19 instead of 20.
Indeed.
And so I'm trying to remember what happens next. We get out of the elevator
and the doors just close and you hear it going
the
up.
The elevator's going up to go and get the stuff on floor 20.
Right. And then
so the ghosts get into the elevator.
And they hear them say 19.
And so then we bring the cortex.
Understand.
So then we bring the cortex away from the elevator. And the floor disappears. And these ghosts fall to their death.
They hear the
down
coming
an elevator shaft.
Clean the elevator, clean the elevator. Yeah. Clean the elevator.
Distant ghostly thud down at the bottom of the elevator shaft. That was hilarious. We discovered today that ghosts can fall to their death down an elevator shaft.
Well, apparently these ones can.
Yeah, they're not really ghosts. They're piles of dust swirling around. So they're not. We were calling them ghosts for simplicity's sake, but
so dust storms can fall to their death down an elevator shaft.
Yes.
That makes equally no sense. Yeah.
Well, they can't fly. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I couldn't really deny their logic on how they defeated those ghosts.
Well,
luckily, that poor ooh design.
Yep. Terrible design. It double killed them. So anyway, we start exploring around, and it's a level in a hotel, so there's lots of hotel rooms everywhere. And we also discover a window to the outside that is smashed, and there's like dirt pouring in through it.
And everyone, when I said that, was like, dirt. I think everyone's played enough Minecraft, or they're like, playing dirt instead of rock. That means we're near the surface. Now, so if there's any roots in it.
Now, Aurora.
Was Brian asking you whether it was,
Is it diatomaceous earth? Anyway. So Aurora has this ability called the Screw the DM ability. I think it's daily, right?
Yeah.
Once per day, she can basically throw her perceptions points, like clairvoyance, 20 squares away, any direction. No need for line of effect or whatever.
Right.
So she sends her vision 20 squares straight up. And it's outside. It's like over this hill. And there's like a camp with tents and stuff in the distance.
Actually nearby, but
yeah, or nearby. So we're like just a couple levels underground.
Yeah.
Well, actually much less than 100 feet underground. Her viewpoint was way up in the hill.
I think we calculated you were 6 meters under that top of that hill.
And we're only in the 19th level.
Wow.
So we go up to the 20th level.
Which you can safely do now because there's no ghosts there anymore.
The ghosts all fell to their deaths. And so we go up to the 20th level and go back to the analogous windows and start digging. And since there's ghosts in the facility, I have the ritual of like prevent undead thing, undead protection from undead or whatever. I can make a circle of protection.
Yeah.
So Cricket starts making a barrier against undead to protect our dig spot. It was going to take 30 minutes to do that. Croesus and Hank are digging. And Aurora wanders off to explore, and Aderon goes with her.
Okay.
And so Aurora goes into this room, and there's one of the dust ghost things. in the room. And she's like, oh, I want to be friends with it and be nice and talk to it and stuff.
Yep.
How are you doing, little ghost dust being? You know? And so...
It's weeping and oohed, saying something like, I never got to go home, or something along those lines. She doesn't really speak oohed, but... someone. Oh, you can hear it. Oh, right. Once it started wailing
like
loudly.
around the corner from where I'm frantically trying to make an anti-undead barrier. I'm like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So miraculously, Aurora sweet talks it so it doesn't attack or anything.
Yeah, it's still upset, but it doesn't go into attack mode.
But it's still making a bit of a racket. And there's other noises on this level. We hear this like distant crunching and stomping and snuffling sort of stuff. There's some sort of monster out there. And so after a bit, the monster shows up.
Yeah, drawn by the noise of that wailing.
Yeah. This huge thing with eyes and teeth and nasty, it's a big humanoid thing.
And it's crunching on
it's eating
an
a dead elf. And we're like, sweet, dead elf. That means there's access to the surface. But on the other hand, oh no, huge monster. And it looks out of our league.
Yeah, I think Adaron was the one who made the nature check.
Yeah, and I speculated.
Discovered it was a gray render.
Yep, and I figured, we're 20 floors up, and John probably expected us to go 4 by 4, so this thing's probably level 20. Turns out I overestimated how evil John was. It was much weaker than that. It was level 19.
Much weaker.
The party is level 3. And this level 19 gray render chewing on an elf comes and just looks at them and just charges.
It has a higher move speed than we do. And its attack has a grab. So we start running. And it was
I kept flipping the picture. I had an awesome picture of a gray render too. And every time I flipped it on, everyone would be like, they know it's so out of their league.
Well, now I have to Google it.
So every round, every round it caught up with us. So every round we had to do some new crazy thing to get out of its reach again.
There was sort of a little circular area where the elevators came up, and then there was a long hallway going off, and they kind of ran around the circular area and then down the long hallway, which is where it actually came from in the first place.
We wanted to see where it got that elf from. And so we were doing all these crazy things where, you know, we'd run, it would run catch up with us. And then our next turn, we'd run, but that would draw an attack of opportunity, which had a grab and stuff. So we'd have to do something to avoid the attack of opportunity. And so, you know, Cricket used her moment of escape to shift someone forward, get them out of the range, and used her action point to give her an extra standard so she could keep up with everyone.
Well, they were running out because they had to escape. Like it must have been like 6 or 7 times. Yeah. Because that thing was fast and the hallway was long.
And these are like all encounter powers and stuff we're using.
Yeah.
And we're burning action points because we have to keep running at maximum as well.
They're like burning all their action points, burning all their encounters just to run away.
Yeah. We even started using some of the cinematic points just to...
Yeah, I was sort of merciful because you can auto hit with a cinematic point, but it's intended for like you have a really cool idea and you want it to succeed. And it's like, well, you can just do that, so you can auto hit. But I was being merciful and letting them use it just to auto hit because.
Well, the thing was, we needed to auto hit not to do damage because we couldn't kill this thing. Yeah. But so that the power's other abilities would go off. Right. You know, there were these things that would shift it or shift us or whatever.
It did take, like, over the course of the combat, I think it took about 15 damage, and sure it had 400 hit points, but you know, maybe more.
It had a couple
elevator somehow.
It had a couple.
It was an elite as well.
Yeah.
It was a level 19 elite brute.
It had an action point of its own. It also had some arrows in it, which were kind of interesting. But anyway, so finally, we get to the corridor it came from. And down at the end of the corridor is this barricade that's been hastily constructed from wood and metal spikes and stuff like that. And there's some elves on the other side of this barricade, and they're like shouting at us, like, "Go back! Don't lead it over here," or whatever. And stuff like, "We're coming through," and they're like, "Okay, we'll let you through, but we're closing this thing as soon as."
And that was where Aurora did save you, because it was Aurora's diplomacy that changed them from being like, "Get out of here, or we'll shoot you," to, "All right, come on." The little hatch.
So we finally get up to this barricade, and it was just perfect for Cricket, because we had to decide each time, okay, who's going to be the one in back that the thing actually catches up to and has to do something cool to get rid of. And so
Cricket's always like, me.
No, we're having to husband our resources.
Oh.
Each of us has different encounter abilities that will get out of jail free once, kind of thing. And so, Cricket realizes she can't do it every single time. So sometimes she's not the one in back. But it just so happens she had saved one of her get out of jail free, or rather saved the rest of the party free abilities, such that she wound up being in back right at the last stretch.
Yeah.
So everyone gets through, and Cricket uses her ability to get the last people through, and then she's out of options. And she's like right one square away from the barricade. And she's like just getting through the barricade. And then the Grey Render catches up, takes her to 0, and grabs and starts pulling her back.
Because it got to the end, and it hadn't spent its action point. This is its last chance. It got to the end, caught up, and it has this rend thing where it does 2 claw attacks, and if they both hit, which is guaranteed, it does a 10 ongoing damage. So it just starts tearing her in half. And at this point, the elves, they said, okay, we're going to shut it when it gets close. So at this point, the elves are shutting the door on her.
And Cricket's pulled back out through the hole. And he's down to 0. But she's happy because everyone else got through. It would have been such an awesome way for the character to die. She didn't, though. I can't remember. How did she get one of them?
Well, Croesus
used
an attack to knock the elves away from the door, so they couldn't shut it. At which point, all the other elves to turn their bows on them, and they're like, "What are you doing?" and start shooting Croesus.
Yeah. If Cricket had been conscious, she would have been objecting to all this.
Right.
But Cricket was unconscious, and so
getting ripped apart thing.
so she couldn't stop the party from saving her.
Must say Aurora blasted the Grey Render, so it got pushed, so it dropped you?
Something like that.
Yes. Oh no, it was Hank. Hank used a cinematic point and a howl of something, and he howled, and it staggered back in terror for a moment and dropped Cricket, who then crawled through the door hastily. And they shut the door, and then it started just hammering on the barricade.
Hastily crawled through the door.
Yeah.
I think someone did something to heal me, because I went to 0.
Yeah.
Who was it that healed Cricket?
I think it must have been Aurora.
Must have been Aurora.
She's the only one who can heal besides you.
Okay, so Aurora healed Cricket after the Grey Render dropped her. And Cricket was like, "Oh, holy crap," and crawled through the thing. And they slammed it. And then the Grey Render started trying to tear its way through this barricade.
But that reminds me, before this had happened, one thing someone had done to try to distract it was they'd opened another room just to wake up a random ghost. And there was a ghost in there who was like, "I'm late for my meeting. Who could have allowed this?" And he comes raging out of the room. And then after they were through the barricade, that thing starts attacking the Grey Render. So they had a moment's reprieve while those things were fighting.
But we didn't think that the ghost would last very long.
Yeah, and the elves had run out. There was a door to one of the rooms that street sunlight was coming from, right behind the barricade, and they'd slammed that door, and all the elves had left.
So we went out after them.
And then one elf shot an arrow into the door jamb, and was like, "Come no further."
So we came further.
Yeah, they completely ignored him, just ran right
I
past.
was like, you really are intimidating compared to that Grey Render.
I ran out into the sunlight, and there was a hastily forming circle of 30 elves and their companions. I didn't really go into it. I'll go into it next time, but a circle of things aiming their weapons on them and saying, "Stop, stop, stop!" And that was where we stopped.
Yep.
But they're out.
So we finally got out of here. It's about time. But our troubles aren't over yet. We had a bloody heck of a time getting out of here, for one thing. This monster's horrible. Worst thing I've ever seen. And now there's these elves who are mad at us because we didn't stay in to die with this thing, and we're going to have to deal with them. But it's so nice to have the sun on my face.
It's always the same. It's always the same. We're always climbing and climbing and climbing, and they're chasing us. And we've never gotten away before.
Wow, I always sucked at the climbing exercises and training, but I didn't realize how actually bad I was at this. I really need to practice. This is embarrassing. But, I don't know, we should have, we're finally saw the sun. Finally. But we have a whole bunch of elves to deal with. But that's okay, because what's inside, we got attacked by something really bad, and we should have tried digging from the 19th floor rather than the 20th, because there's something on the 20th floor, and it's gonna hurt us a lot. It has already. But I'd rather deal with elves any day than a big black gray render. It's
Leadership is very complex, especially in my situation. I am a satyr, a domestic. The first law of domestics is obedience. We must obey our masters above all else. Only second is that we must protect our masters. If they do not order otherwise, we must take action to protect them. And this party needs so much protection. Oh my. I say this with full understanding of the irony of I, a 6-year-old domestic, who, until mere weeks ago, lived a sheltered life in the empire of endless flowers, first learning in the Temple of Freedom, the history and etiquette and skills of a domestic, and then for 5 long, wonderful years, serving a household, a noble household, and then only the past few weeks having been cast out into the harsher, wider world to act on my own. So yes, very inexperienced. I in reference to a 10,000-year-old being, a cosmic entity, literally from the stars, of the stars, I must say, Aurora is hopelessly naive. She's so nice. And that's not how the world is. So, she nearly got us killed on several occasions by attempting to go forth and talk with horrible monsters and explore their domains in an innocently curious manner. Oh my. I can't understand how, after 10,000 years or more, she has not learned what I have learned in only just a matter of a few weeks, that the world is a very dangerous place, and there are people and creatures out in it that are simply not nice. Well, fortunately, I am very good at what I do. And I was ordered to lead this party, and that means to keep it safe and protect it, even from itself. And so, despite Aurora's best efforts to awaken every horrendous lurking monster that we came across and provoke it into attacking us, I have managed to guide us and protect us, and we're finally out of that hole. We've reached the surface. True, the horrendous monsters are still nipping at our heels, and beyond is an encampment of elves that we have managed to anger as well. Trapped between the proverbial rock and a hard place, as it were. But we're all alive. We all made it out. So perhaps we actually will meet someone nice. Maybe that's why Aurora hasn't learned. Because there are some nice people out there, perhaps, I hope. Maybe? Oh, I hope so. Alright, well, I guess now I just need to face these elves now as party leader and present a strong face. And if that doesn't work, we'll do some more running, and maybe the horrendous grey render that's chasing us will stop to eat these elves first, and we will get away. Yes.
Dear Diary, finally, we've reached the light of day once again. And oh, how I long for the darkness of night. Not the darkness of a dank underground cavern or strange, weird old hallways, but the real, rich, thick darkness of true night, sparkled with the stars. Oh, how I long to see my brothers again. Not just to see them in my mind's eye, but to really see them. If only they could see me. Oh, I miss them. I hope they're all right. Who knows what they're doing without me? We had quite an interesting day. We were climbing up this tall, vertical, square sort of tunnel thing. It had very slippery sides. I thought it was quite easy, but oh dear, my dear friend Aderon had quite a time of it. And there were these strange, those piles of dust that we've been seeing around. Well, some of them seem to be sort of animated, and I think those creatures, Ood or whatever they were, have not been properly reborn because... Oh wait, I forgot. Aderon tells me that Ood and other normal creatures that aren't stars don't usually get reborn. But still, they don't seem to be resting in the normal way because they were talking and swirling about and they seemed really malevolent. But I sensed a deep sadness in them as well. As my friends were trying to dig a hole through the ceiling, which I thought was weird, I was just walking around, exploring, seeing what was around, and I found one of those dust clouds, and he was so sad. He was weeping and weeping. Oh, how my heart ached for him. Just knowing that he used to be someone alive, someone real, and now he was trapped in this, for who knows how many thousands of years, trapped in these feelings of regret and loss. It was just heartbreaking. I was going to go tell my friends about it and try to get Cricket to explain to him that everything would be okay and we were going to find out what was wrong and see if we could find his family or something. I don't know. I was going to go tell Cricket, but then this creature came out. Oh, it was so angry. It just immediately started attacking us. It really took my breath away. The only thing we could do was run. And oh, we ran. I don't think I've ever run so fast in my life. It was a near thing. He almost ripped a number of us in half. I think it must have been a mother, because no one but a mother would be so angry. And I can almost hear her children's voices now, just thinking that she was She was longing for her children. She was trying to protect her children, and that's why she came out with such fury to rip us to shreds, because she thought we were going to hurt her darling little babes. I think that's the only explanation. There's no other reason why such a thing would attack us. I can almost hear the children's voices now. She's downstairs. So anyway, I don't know how we made it out, but we did. And now we've met some elves. Oh, I love elves. They don't love us yet, though, but I'm sure once they get to know us, they'll realize that we weren't trying to do them any harm, and we were just trying to protect ourselves from the very angry mother creature. I hope her babies are okay. I wonder if I could find out somehow. Anyway, I'm sure it will all work out well, and now we're out in the open air, and I'm just so happy to show my friends which stars are my brothers and tell them all about the sky. It's wonderful to be out of there.